We finally got some news. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel, your home for all content Lord of the Rings home. Today we're going to go over the Elladan Kit Reveal. You may be wondering why I didn't talk about it yesterday when Tana released the video about Elladan's kit. And there's one reason, and that is because I wanted to see the stamina cooldown, or the cooldowns for each of his skills, because I think a lot hinges on what those numbers are. But we're going to go over the whole kit, compare it to his old kit or his MPC kit, and then talk about a little bit of synergy and how plug-and-play viable Elladan is. So let's get into it. Elladan is a tank, elf, Rivendell, obviously. One of Elrond's twin sons. His brother is Elrohir. It says he works best with Arwen and Elrohir. That makes complete sense to me. He uses a two-handed spear. I don't know if two-handed spear counts as like being able to do bonus damage against large targets. It's two-handed sword and two-handed heavy weapons. I'm not sure. I don't think the spear counts as that, but I could be wrong here. All right, let's get into the basic. Baleful Spear. Okay, so at unlock, level 1, you attack the target for 90% damage and 50% chance to inflict weaken for 1 turn. I said this in my Halbarad video, the Worth the Whale Halbarad video. If your tank isn't applying debuffs on their basic, they're just not going to be a very good tank. I think most of the good tanks have that, or buffing themselves too. But I prefer being able to debuff the other team with my tank. Elladan is the first and only tank in the game currently to have weaken on his basic. And then at max upgrade, we increase the damage to 260%, which is actually a chunk of damage. And the weaken extends to 2 turns, which is going to be massive, especially if the other team has no way to clear Banes, right? That's just cutting massive amounts of damage output. All right, I like that. Special 1, Pride of Imladris. That's different here. It says Ancient Skill here. Interesting. Okay, so maybe that's just changed to Special 1, Ancient Skill. Oh no, Special 2 is Ancient Skill. Did they mix these up? Yeah, they switched them up. Okay. Well, one of these is going to be one of these is going to be a taunting ability. Well, they're both taunting abilities, but I think this is the Pride of Imladris. Okay. On unlock, you get 2 stacks of Provoke and 1 stack of Regeneration for 1 turn. I don't like having just Provoke because I think multi-hit or like big... I think it's easier to get through Provoke than it is to get through Taunt, right? But he's going to have a lot of Provokes, and I think each Provoke might count as a boon to sort of synergize with the whole elf team wanting a lot of boons. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's kind of my take and reasoning on this. So 2 stacks Provoke, 1 stack of Regeneration, and then at max level, you gain 4 stacks Provoke, 1 stack of Regeneration for 2 turns, and Deadly for 1 turn to 3 random allies. So Deadly is you get increased crit chance by 30%. So this is interesting. So the difference between these two, unlock and max, is actually pretty big, right? You go up 2 stacks of Provoke, you get Deadly on 3 random allies, and your regeneration goes from 1 to 2 turns. So my guess is that this skill in particular is going to require a lot of upgrades. Special 2, Ancient Skill, I don't know, it could be Pride of, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe they just messed up the wording here. So the Pride of Imladris, this is an attack skill, and this looks like an attack skill. So Special 2, the Pride of Imladris, stamina cost 4, just like this other skill here, right? Stamina cost 4, attack all enemies for 100% damage and gain 1 stack of Provoke. That is when you initially get it. That's the unlock. And then at max, attack all enemies for 300% damage. That's a lot more damage. Gain 1 stamina for this ability per boon on self, and gain 3 stacks of Provoke. Okay, so we're going up 200% in damage. We're getting 1 stamina for this ability per boon on self, and we're getting 3 stacks of Provoke. So this skill, especially the ability to get 1 stamina per boon on self, is going to be very, very critical for him to be... He needs that. I think that's going to be an integral part of his kit. Another 3 stacks of Provoke. So how many total? If you use both of these skills, at max is 7 stacks of provoke. That's pretty nuts. So again, I don't know how it's counting boons, if it's just unique boons, or like, does having 7 stacks of provoke give you 7 boons and count towards that? I think it's the latter, but you're going to need 4 boons then to be able to basically use this again, which is pretty good because this is a big AoE. You get stacks of provoke. You don't get any regeneration, but if you can just spam this ability, that's going to be pretty good. This, of course, is also going to depend on what speed he has. If he's a very slow character, then this might not be as worth it. But if he's got decent speed or just middle-of-the-road speed, I think this is going to be very, very good. And notice so far, with all 3, the basic and the 2 specials, there's no tags, right? There's no, like, synergy-specific elements, which means that this is probably a good plug-and-play character. But let's read the passive and we'll get more into that. At unlock, on turn, 40% chance to gain 1 stack of nimble. And at max, you 100% guaranteed chance to get 1 stack of nimble, and you gain 10% resistance. I think a lot of people think this is lackluster, but again, depending on his speed, a stack of nimble every time is crazy. I think currently, though, if you have nimble and provoke and you get attacked, it takes away the nimble and 1 stack of provoke. So that could be something that needs to be fixed, or I'm not sure if that's the way it was designed. But 1 stack of nimble every single time you go means you're absorbing for free an extra hit of damage, which makes him, I think, going to be a very, very good tank. Again, no like synergy specific things in his passive. Does he give out boons? He gives out 1 boon deadly to self and 3 random allies on his special 1 here. Other than that, he doesn't give out boons. So for the elf team, it seems like Ellawhen is one giving out boons, Elladan a little bit, and I don't think Elra here gives out many boons too. So it might be the case that you just have to rely on Elrond and 1 other character to really get the boon train going. Let's talk about what his MPC kit is and how that changed. So his basic, by the way, this is, I got this from Tana's video, so shout out to Tana. He basically grabs the kit information for the MPC kits. So I just wanted to make sure that, yeah, that's where I got this information from. His basic is attack target for some percentage damage and inflict weaken for end turns. That's basically unchanged. His special 1, attack primary and adjacent targets for some percentage damage and gain protection for some amount of turns. And if Elra here is an ally, attack the primary and adjacent targets 2 more times for 200% per hit and call Elra here to attack the primary target. Okay, so this seems like they morphed this into his AoE. And so instead of getting protection and just doing adjacent targets, they're just giving him an AoE and they're giving him the ability to spam it over and over again, depending on how many boons he has. Special 2, gain X stacks of provoke, so another provoke, and X stacks of nimble, and then gain X stacks of regeneration for end turns and grant protection to all elf squad members for end turns. So in this version, he's granting protection to his elf squad members. The Elladan we're going to get is going to grant deadly to 3 squad members, including himself. So we're going from protection to deadly. Okay, I'm not sure, that's fine, I guess. And then instead of having just 1 provoke skill like we have here, we're going to have 2 provoke skills. And then the nimble is basically getting moved to his passive. And his passive here is just percent armor increase, percent max health increase, and when an enemy attacks Elra here, retaliate against that enemy once per battle. Oh, retaliate against that enemy. Sorry, there's a period there. And then once per battle, if an ally drops below 70% health, gain X stacks of provoke. So there was an auto taunt mechanic in there. They got rid of that, and they got rid of the Elra here synergy, both in his special 1 and in his passive. It seems like they're changing the kits between what they have in the game or in the beta to what we end up getting now. It seems like there's a lot more nerfs. I'm not exactly sure why they're doing that. They're taking out a lot of the team-up stuff, it seems. So, like, Remember, there's no Ellawhen and Strider team up, even though that's clearly in their marketing materials and in the MPC versions of the kits, right? Somebody has said that basically they don't have leadership abilities, the MPC versions of these, so that's why they kind of have different kits. And plus, they're just tuned for PvE instances, so I understand that. It is a little disappointing to not have the team up stuff, but I think his current kit actually makes him more plug-and-play friendly because you don't have to have Ellawhen here with him, and his ability to tank is just is nuts. And so you're not going to get the most out of him unless you're using him with a team that has lots of boons, which is supposed to be this Rivendell squad, but I'm not entirely sure about that. I'm not sure who's supposed to be giving out all the boons. I guess Elrond is supposed to for this Rivendell squad. But even if you don't have all those boons, this is, he's going to be an effective tank. He's going to be able to get up a lot of provoke, and he's going to be able to do a little bit of passive healing, but also boost. One, he's going to boost the damage output for your team, right, with this deadly, and he's going to be able to, importantly, weaken damage output from the opposing team. I really like this basic. Weaken for one turn is massive. We'll see what his stats are, right? But 260% damage on his basic and 300% damage on his AoE is pretty nuts. If he has decent damage, then he could be a force to be reckoned with. Now let's talk about Rangers. I still don't think this is like the best fit for the Ranger squad, right? He doesn't have stealth and he doesn't have eagle eye. So I'm not sure how he fits in with the Halbarad leadership. Not to mention Halbarad's already a tank. I do think having Elladan, Ellawhen, Elrahir, and Halbarad, plus maybe one other thing, is going to be, for the moment, a little bit of an arena meta because of the sustain that's on that team. And you can still get a good chunk of damage out because Elrahir here. When an enemy attacks an ally with taunt or provoke, retaliate against that enemy. Importantly, it's only 50% chance until you max it all the way, which is a big cost, right? It takes a lot to max a skill all the way, but 50% chance to retaliate against that enemy. What I like about the idea of this arena comp, we'll see how it plays out, is that you can sort of pass the tanking around between Elladan and Halbarad. You've got lots of healing with Halbarad. You get passive healing, or like some more healing with Elladan. You get some more healing with Ellawhen. Elrahir is a big damage output, just single target DPS, depending on how good Elladan is. He could also be a force to be reckoned with in terms of DPS. Then if you add some AoE machine like Ironhide, or I know some people were thinking maybe Strider still, then you can really kind of get some good damage out there as well as having that massive sustain. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm interested. I'm not sold that this is like going to make the Rangers really good. It just doesn't really interact with Halbarad's leadership at all. But that's it from me. We're going to do a few more videos. I'll do a skill priority video when they drop Elladan into game and lotr.gg is able to sort of pull out the information about his kit. We'll do a skill priority video there. And I've got some other things lined up. And if they release a patch notes, which I'm hoping they do, there's some bug fixes that I think really need to start coming out to the game, then I'll do another video about that. But thanks for watching.